Welcome to another Nerdporial after show discussing episode 4 of the Orville New Horizons. I am your host, Brian, the Nerdporial Lifeform, a guy who just calls himself Admiral. Admiral. And and
He
with
tasked me.
he tasked me. I shall have him. Well, with me is my co-host Mike from Pacific 414. How you doing?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Just got off like you, we just finished watching the episode. And this week my special guest star is Mark D with the C. What's up, Mark? This is your
Hey,
first
everyone.
time
Hey.
on the Nerdporial stream, so
Thank you for having me. Yeah, but looking forward to it. Yeah, good episode to discuss tonight. So gonna have a lot of fun, and it's a lot to discuss, a lot to unpack. So
yeah. So I'm curious, Mark, so what's your history with science fiction, with Star Trek? And
yeah, so
tell us a little bit about it.
I think my first episode I can remember watching was Arena over at my grandmother's house on a small black and white TV in the 70s. And that just, with the Gorn just scared the crap out of me. Probably as like an 8-year-old kid. Where's my Gorn figure? As you can see in my background, I have a ton of toys and collectibles. So here's we'll just do it real quick. But there's my
That's nice.
my new
That's
Enterprise
Very nice.
that I got. Yep. So I've got up this way. I've got a Star Trek wall and all
that's
kinds
beautiful.
of Star Trek stuff.
I'm jealous.
Yep. So a lot of models. You got to have a Spock clock, right? So
Wow.
all around there's it's not a big room, but it's surrounded by Star Trek stuff. So just love Star Trek, and I think probably the animated series was one of my favorites. So here I'll grab my. You got to have your communicator from the 70s, right? So there's my Star Trek communicator walkie-talkie, if anyone remembers those, if you're old enough. So, and I got the phaser and all the toys. So just grew up loving Star Trek, and unfortunately the latest iterations of the show haven't been up to par. So the Orville really is the spiritual successor to Star Trek. So I've been really enjoying that and watching these shows, and it's great to have science fiction that's thought provoking. And what some people say, oh, the new Star Trek's not Star Trek. Whatever you think of it, I've unfortunately watched all of Discovery, and I'm still waiting for a good episode that I could say is at least like even a coherent plot line, whether or not you consider it Trek or not Trek. But just love it. Oh, and the other thing I got to do too is growing up as a kid. One of my classmates, her uncle, happened to be the head of Paramount Pictures. So for one of our fundraisers at school, is a small private school, so we got to go see Wrath of Khan, and so I got to see it the night before, and I got to meet Leonard Nimoy, and that was just amazing. So actually, I was showing it on Clobbering Times last night. Let's see if I can dig it out. I wasn't planning on doing this, but what the heck? So I have a signed ticket from the Wrath of Khan world premiere. So there's the ticket, admit one.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
Leonard Nimoy signing the ticket on the back. So it was just, I went to, get the, got a few things signed, and, you went to see him, and you're looking up, and I'm, a little kid. I'm like, 10 or 12, what the heck was I, 12? And I'm like, hi, hello, Mr. Nimoy. You're not sure what the heck, when you meet one of your heroes, you're like, what do I say? Yeah. So they had this world premiere, and then they had an auction of all kinds of stuff. It was just me and my dad there. And I'm like, Dad, we got to buy some of this stuff. They had, matte paintings. They had mock phasers. They had Kirk's belt. They had all this stuff, and it's listed in the auction. I have to do a video on my channel since it was the 40th anniversary of all my con memorabilia. And he's like, it's crap. It's all crap.
It came out in June, right? It came
June 3rd. Well, June 3rd was the premiere, and then June 4th was the official date. So this is before the interweb. So I'm like, we're telling all our friends. Well, you didn't want to spoil it, but you knew Spock died the day before anyone else knew.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, but and now years, and one of my good friends, they bid on Spock's ears. I think they got it for $2,000 or something. So I've always said, if you go to sell, I get first dibs. But then I was looking at some auctions, and those ears now, like from Wrath of Khan, are going for, I don't know, it cost me a new car. So but my
Oh, wow.
buddy has, the Khan, and we never bought anything from the auction. But it was my dad's. You look at the phaser, and a prop like that's not the hero prop. It was all, it was like clay. It was all mushy, and it was all, it didn't look, highly detailed. It's on, but I'm like, oh, please, can we get the phaser? Dad's like, it's crap. You don't need that.
Yeah. Okay, so those were the ears from the original series, or those were the ears from
From Wrath of Khan. Wrath of Khan worn ears. So it was all props from Wrath of Khan. So like, I still can close my eyes and see like the tables with all the items and matte paintings and props and badges and things. So those were all donated to raise money for the school.
So I'm curious now. In 1982, I wasn't even alive yet. So I'm curious. When you saw Wrath of Khan, did you think that was the last Star Trek movie at the time?
Oh no, because the way that it ended, you had that hopeful ending with Spock, and I think they they added that after, so the audience wasn't totally depressed by the end. So I think with that Spock reading the the opening words that normally Kirk reads, and then it landed on. So all my friends were like, "He's going to be back in the next movie. The Genesis planet's gonna you see the torpedo land," and they added that. So you're like, "Oh, somehow he's gonna be back. He's gonna be back." So that was it was depressing, and I didn't cry. I almost did. But yeah, it was just an amazing time to be a science fiction fan. Some great movies coming out those years. Yeah,
1982. Yeah, that's the official nerd year for most people. So
yep.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Before we get into the episode, I want to say hello to Ruben Christopher Haynes. 1982. I was there. Oh, I feel like I'm the youngling here. And we got the Fuppets. Episode was better than the first three combined, which is saying a lot. And then we got Brahma Bull. He says, just saying hi. I'm drained from the Avalanche game. Watch the episode. Will listen as I go to sleep. Much bourbon was drinking in the AVS win tonight. There you go.
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers.
My Rangers lost. Yeah.
And then we got Doviandi Setovia Seguin. It's from Wheel of Time, which I started re-listening. I started listening to the audiobook of the first book again. So hail to you. Wait, is episode 4 out already? It is.
Yep.
It just dropped. So why don't we without further ado, why don't we get into episode 4, Gently Falling Rain. So I'm curious. Let's just get this out of the way. How did you feel about the political aspects that were brought up in this episode? Because I know there's a lot of division in our country right now, and I know now there's a lot of Orville fans who are on both sides of the aisle. So I was just curious how you guys felt about the political aspect, the allegorical aspect of the episode. I'll start with you, Mark.
Yeah, I think it was, in my opinion, I think it was a little heavy-handed. It depends on which side of the aisle you fall on. I kind of like my sci-fi to, leave you guessing or, kind of give both sides. There was no both sides on this one, but you could, take that as you will. I thought, just the abortion thing was a very interesting way to handle that. I thought maybe they're going to execute. And of course, we're spoiling here, right? I'm assuming since
there will be spoilers.
Yep. But that was an interesting. I thought they were going to execute them, and then they said they're showing. They did a DNA extraction, which is a very sci-fi kind of term, and showed you what the person would have been, which was pretty gut wrenching. I thought so. You could take that either way, and I think Mercer says you want to live in a world like this, so that's interesting. That was very interesting seeing there. And then, of course, just the populism and just the calling out, was very, Talea, was very interesting in terms of, Ed's obviously got a relationship with her going back. So I loved how in the past 2 weeks they've been calling back previous episodes, and showing someone that had ties to the crew again. And the diplomacy and everything was really, really well done. I really liked the story. I just thought the top politics of it. I don't know what the chat feels or what you guys felt, but I thought it was a little heavy-handed. But maybe that's just me. But I thought they went a little overboard. But
Yeah,
well,
I mean, Trek has kind of done that, but Trek has been a little bit, or early Trek, not the newer stuff. The older Trek has been a little bit more things that were a little bit more universal. Like in the case of racism is obviously a big one. I mean, both sides of the aisle agree that racism is wrong. Hence the diverse crew in the original series, the original Star Trek series. This is the abortion part was very I mean, I'll say it was a very divisive thing. Not everybody agrees with it. There are people that do agree with it. And there has to be like a compromise in the middle to bring these things together. And it was funny how they brought up Talea being spreading false misinformation. That was another relevant or politically relevant notion.
that was interesting. Yeah.
So they have like these influence. What do they call them? I forget what they influence.
I wrote it down. Let's
influence
see.
machines. I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah, and influence operations. Yeah,
Influence
so
operations,
they were
yeah.
stoking outrage, but they did say it was both sides. And Ruben, yeah, they did. I agree. They did show both sides. In my opinion, I thought it was a little heavy-handed, not a ton of allegory there in terms of you knew where Talea was coming from the start, but I guess that was the point of the episode. So, but
Yeah,
and then on the other hand, they're showing if they need each other too. So if they don't reach an agreement, the K-liner come in and maybe wipe them both out. So it left it open-ended in the end to see what happens. And of course, the last shot of Mercer and her child, and she's watching the child through the view screen. So maybe there's a flicker. She didn't want to execute Ed, so we'll see where that goes. And maybe there's going to be, maybe she'll come around, or maybe she'll just attack the planetary union again. We'll see. But it made you think, right? So it did make you think in this episode, which is always good.
Yeah, it did.
Fiction. Yeah.
So Ruben says, heavy-handed, no way it was realistic. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it went to, like, they did bring up the whole, like the whole that fake atrocity that Supreme. What's funny is he's a Supreme Chancellor. Can't help but think of another
Gorkin. I was thinking of Gorkin, Star Trek. Yeah, Supreme Chancellor, or another. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or he's I forget. He's just a chancellor. I think I don't know if they don't call him Supreme Chancellor Gorkon. They just call him Chancellor Gorkon in Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
But Supreme Chancellor comes from Star Wars, mainly the prequels. So I just couldn't help but think this episode is very prequely, if you know what I mean, from the visuals and what we end up seeing. But we'll get to that. So, but yeah, he said Ruben said that it's both sides that basically do this to each other, which is there is realistic. I don't remember if they confirmed it. They confirmed that what the Supreme Chancellor Corrin did was basically fake.
Well, they did say both sides were doing it, because I rewound that. Just of course, when you're reviewing an episode, you want to make sure I want to try to get it right. It's tough when you watch it and then you don't have a chance to watch it again. But yeah, it was both sides, and it's kind of it's a Facebook, Twitter, quote unquote fake news or incorrect news. And was well done too. I thought in the episode referencing that, where we do have that now with deep fakes, where you could have a person giving a speech that they didn't give. Right? I mean, look, they brought Luke Skywalker back, right? As a young
apparently Darth Vader's all of his lines are generated. James Earl Jones is not really doing the dialogue. That's what I heard. So I don't know how true that is. So we'll see. All right, so kind of getting that out of the way, ready to get into the episode. get into the beginning of the episode?
Let's do it.
All right. Oh yeah, Mike, I forgot. I didn't want to leave you out. What's your take before we get into this?
I did think some of the politics was heavy-handed, and it did have me shaking my head at a few points. But as the episode went along, and some of the points that you guys have brought up, you understand why they did it. It was prevalent to the episode.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So for last time, let's get into this. All right. So we open this episode. We see we see in memory of Lisa Baines. She passed away in 2021. I know Orville Nation talked about her. Apparently, she was killed in like she got hit by a car, I believe, in New York City, and that's why. So I didn't even know what her role was. Like she was kind of just there. I thought she was the first lady, but then we find out she's a senator. So I didn't even think we even got her name. I did not.
Yeah,
I
she
did not
got
catch her name.
Yeah, she was hit and run by a scooter. Not that it matters, but it was a hit and run accident in New York City.
Yeah. So, so we get that thing. So I'm guessing this is apparently her role wasn't too significant. I hate to say this, but her role wasn't too significant, so that like I don't think it will impact later episodes because she was kind of part of she was just simply part of the delegation. They had Bruce Boxleitner as president. I can't think of his name, Alcaron or Alcazan. They finally gave his name later in the episode. President Alcazan, and then Admiral Halsey, and those were basically the three. And then of course you had Ed and you had Charlie. So those were the five in the party. So I don't think, but going forward, they're obviously going to follow up on this episode. So I think going forward, it doesn't. Her death hasn't hurt the next episode. I don't want to sound, insensitive to it, but I don't remember. I don't even like. She said a few things, and that was it. Like she wasn't really.
She didn't have a prominent role in this episode.
Yeah, and I was hoping Bruce Boxleitner would get more. I mean, he had some great dialogue. He was giving out toasts like it was going out of style, but I felt like he needed more dialogue too. They were giving everything to Admiral Halsey, so Victor Garber. But I like Victor Garber, so
he's good. Yeah,
we'll see. And I just have to ask, Brandon's. I thought Brandon was doing. I guess maybe Brandon already did his own stream already. Did a really short stream. So welcome. I was going to tell everyone to go check your stream out after checking mine out because I'm entitled. So, all right. So, first scene begins with Talea giving a speech, and she basically declares that Supreme Chancellor Korn is a traitor, turned their backs because of this whole Union Treaty, which is about to be signed. And and she just says this goes against our divine right. She's riling up the people, erosion of ideals and identity. Krill, this was the heavy-handed comment. Krill comes first. So, just saying there might be some some people might take it a certain way. Remember, this is fiction. This is fiction. This is taking real events and dialing up to 25. It's pure fictional. These are we're gonna be talking about this like they're fictional because they are fictional. Krill are fictional. Mm-hmm. They're crazy, and they have black eyes. So come on.
And they hate the light, right?
And they hate the light. So. And of course, Talea wants to be Supreme Chancellor, and I put down she's Trump. So I just that's all I'm going to say about it. So, and then that's what leads into, and that's what leads into the opening, and then we get to the next scene. So, before we go any further, I want to say hello to more people that just showed up. We have Juan Soros. What was with the false video mentioned? Deepfakes barely mentioned. Oh, we were just talking about what were we talking about?
Well, we touched on it. I guess we'll talk about it more. But yeah, they do mention the false propaganda or fake, fake news / video. Both sides were using that to hurt the other side because they couldn't tell. And Mercer says I couldn't even. After a while, I said you couldn't tell what was real or fake.
Mm-hmm. All right, and we have Atheist for the Cause here. He says, I'm a Trump supporter. Clearly, there were clearly some shots at Trump supporters, but I thought within reason, and we weren't really told how to think. That was I agree. I agree with that. And once again, science fiction. I mean, they can take ideas and they turn them up to 25, and we get this. And this was a very good up. I mean, this was a very entertaining episode. Like this was up there. This is probably the best of the season so far. Like in terms of sheer scale which we'll get into. But yeah, thanks for coming by. Thank you. I'm shocked with all the new people coming in. So thank you. So scene 2. We're on Earth. It's evening, and apparently in the 25th century, Broadway still exists in New York City.
You're not going to make me sing Annie, are you?
Oh gosh.
You know, it's funny. What's funny is I am not into musical theater. And
that was hysterical.
I am not. I mean, I've seen the movie Sound of Music, and that's about the extent that I know about musical theater. The Rodgers and Hammerstein in this case. I don't even know who did Annie. I don't know if it was Rodgers and Hammerstein. I don't know anything about Annie.
When I saw that scene, I was thinking, "Oh God, help me!"
And it was an alien.
That was awesome.
It was an alien girl playing Annie. I was like, is this Annie? Because she was wearing the red. She had the curly hair. I was like,
they saved Annie? The ginger. She was still a ginger.
Yeah. And I was like, I used my phone to find out what the song is. And the song is from Annie, from the musical.
That's the most famous song. The sun will come out tomorrow.
The sun will come out tomorrow. And I loved the sun that will come out tomorrow. I loved how the Krill responded to that. They're like, well, the sun on our planet represents death to our civilization. And they're like, maybe we should have done Oklahoma instead.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was funny. Yeah, that Orville, you know, I think the humor is just so well done. I mean, when I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be like, you know, kind of like crazy comedy like Seth always has. And then, you know, they really have dialed down the humor in some ways, but it's really smart humor, and it's always fits, you know, to the perfect spot. You know, they had some great quips tonight, you know, landing the shuttlecraft. And so it's good. You know, it's fun. It's not overdone, but it hits the mark. Yeah,
I love, but yeah, it doesn't insult the intelligence of the viewer. Like there was like season 1 had a great moment where Claire was reciting Emerson, and Ed thought it was Shakespeare. He's like, "Is this Shakespeare?" No, Emerson. And they're like, "Oh." It was because, you know, you know how like Star Trek they quote historical figures and they always know exactly.
It's always Shakespeare. Yeah.
Whereas in Ed's case, he's not quite as cultured as like Picard or Janeway or even Kirk, because you know Kirk is a stack of books according to the second pilot. So
yep.
But just and so we get this nice little dinner scene that just made me think of. I couldn't help but think of Star Trek 6. So I was like, where are they going with this? Is there going to be a conspiracy against this treaty? Because that's the first thing I thought, because, you know, they're talking about the treaty. Well, first they were talking about the Great Depression because they're talking about Annie. And of course the Krill talk about like how like their mercantile district is like the center of all their commerce, the commercial district. And they don't have a problem with the resources in their economy. So, and then they just get into talking about the treaty and what was it? They're going to sign it. They're going to sign in the Capitol. And of course, Bruce Boxleitner, President, I forgot his name again, President Alcazan gives a toast. And I swear that was Romulan ale. in their beverages, sparkling Romulan ale. So I'm thinking there must be like a wormhole that delivers Romulan ale to the Union. That's just that I'm calling it right now. That's what I think is going to pay off down the season. Right.
What they call it, some kind of cider or something, or was that?
It was later? It was like a cider. It was like some Krill cider.
Krill cider.
Maybe it was when they were drinking it on Krill.
That was when they're drinking on Krill.
Mix
it up. That was later, right? Yeah.
Was the Union president the president from Babylon 5? Yes.
Yep.
And I kept writing down President Sheridan because he becomes president in the final season of Babylon 5. Spoiler alert. So because they didn't give his name, so I just kept calling him President Sheridan because I knew ahead of time that was Bruce Boxleitner, and he sounds exactly the same. So, all right, so yeah, so the Supreme Chancellor, Supreme Chancellor Corinne is there, and they're like, hey, we're gonna have this thing. They give a toast, and then we cut to while they're giving the toast, they cut right to Ed and the rest of them on a bear crawl. They're in a simulated bear crawl throughout history. It's called the bear crawl throughout history. So they're drinking, they're having a good time, and we find out Kiali gets promoted. She gets promoted to lieutenant commander. Not nearly as big of a celebration as Worf with the ship and the diving board that disappears, causing him to fall into the holographic ocean. And then Data just pushes, like they're all laughing, and Data's like, "Why are you laughing?" "Oh, because it's all in good fun. Be in the moment." And then Data pushes Beverly into the water, and he
Data,
tries to smirk.
That was
not
funny.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, Star Trek Generations, everybody. And then, that leads to the death of Renee and Robert and all that, which I think was a big mistake, but that's my opinion. So, but going back to the Orville, so they get a call from Admiral Halsey, who was at the dinner, and they're like, "Hey, we want the Orville," because I swear I didn't see that one coming. They want the Orville to escort the delegation to Krill. I mean, did you see that coming? I swear I didn't see that coming.
Oh, no.
I swear
I
there was going
didn't
to
see
be
that
another
coming
ship,
at all.
another captain.
I'm shocked.
Something. The rest of them were not going to be part of this episode. They're going to have totally different crew. No.
But real quick, before they got that call, when they were in the saloon, remember Isaac walks in. He's wearing a cowboy hat and he's got a mustache on his faceplate.
Was he supposed to be a constable? Was he supposed to be a constable or something? I was curious.
Maybe a sheriff or a marshal.
Okay.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, and then Charlie did not look too happy that scene too. So some of the crew.
I hope they don't forget about that. I hope that there's some sort of resolution or some sort of progress in their relationship in the upcoming episodes. That's what I'm hoping to see.
And the other thing to point out is they had real alcohol too, not synthahol like later in TNG. So
is it a good day? Is it a good day? It is a good day. And he didn't know we were drunk. Well, let's just say that comes back later.
Yeah.
So Kiali gets so they get the assignment, and then they go and pick up the Union president. They pick up Elakazar, Halsey, and I just called her Senator Lady that passed away. Rest in peace. So Halsey pulls that aside, takes him to the council room, conference room, and Ed sees the footage of all the rallies. So Talia does rallies and stuff, and it's horrified. He's like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have let her go after all." Because last season they had her in custody. They released her to the Krill. They released her to the Krill authorities, and I think it was the episode "Nothing Left But Fishes." Nothing to left but fishes. I believe it was a King and I, another musical related episode, King and I. So, which I think the last time we saw him, they climb up the mountain. They're being pursued by these pirates that hate the Krill. The Krill have oppressed them. I call them the Goblin pirates. And he tries to get through to her, and I kind of thought he did. I thought he did for a second, and apparently that doesn't turn out to be the case as we are seeing right now. So they're like, "Hey, if you have any insight into what she's doing, please let us know because we're going to need this. Because this is going to be a big problem. We have our relationship is going to deteriorate if she comes into power, and then the Kaylon will use this as a means to attack us, and everything's going to go to shit." Excuse my language. So, So yeah, so I said Ed regrets telling this releasing Talia to Kelly because it was Kelly that I think uh, told him not to release her. He would keep her in the union custody. That's very interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, none of this would have happened if Ed hadn't done that. So he kind of made the same thought about reviving Isaac
Yeah,
too in the first episode of the season, which was so well done. So
yeah, I agree.
he's not an invincible captain. He's fallible, which makes him even more likable. Where he doesn't tell Kelly, "Oh, I don't care what happened. I'm right. It's my way or the highway." He
Hmm.
admits, maybe that wasn't the way to go. Although he obviously has feelings because she was, disguised to look as a human and infiltrated the fleet, and he had a relationship with her, which we're going to talk about, later in the episode. But
Yeah, and she did that because she hated him because she was on that ship in season one where they had to basically kill everyone aboard with light. They killed
yep,
everyone with the light, and he spared her and the kids because she was a teacher. She was
in
simply
the
a teacher. She
classroom, yeah,
was not a. I mean, yeah, that's all she really was. I mean, she was probably in the military, but she was a teacher, and she was relatively. I mean, she was relatively friendly, despite the
that was
fact
a
that she
hard
didn't
hitting
know him.
episode. That was really well done episode. Yeah,
Oh yeah, and so after that, she's like, "Oh, there's going to be consequences for what you just did." So, and then of course season two happens. She was in Geloja, and she was in the Nothing Left But Fishes episode. Um, disguised as a human. That was the big twist. Was
yeah,
we see her as a human? She's really hot as a human.
yeah. She's cute.
Like
Yeah,
I did not
Yeah.
think I was like, whoa, that's her. Wow. Like they really like you could not recognize her between the black eyes and like nothing. There's no hair. It's just all alien prosthetic. So um,
yeah. So she was on 5 episodes. I'm looking at the wiki page. So yeah, 5 episodes mentioned in three. Well, plus now 6. Obviously, this was only up to
but I
season
think
2.
she was only in okay. So, but I think she was only appeared in 4.
Yeah,
Season
well,
one.
as Janelle Taylor, yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
yeah, that's her
So, but
character.
but you
Though.
said the character is mentioned in 2 more episodes. Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
But no, and I think they liked the actress's performance so much that they brought her. Let's write more of more
Yeah.
for her since she did such a great job. Yep.
Yeah. So they have once again they talked about influence operations where the Supreme Chancellor was accused of gassing like and killing 10 people to stoke outrage to fan the flames of division. And we learned that it's fake news. It's something that they call the influence operations. And there's once again they're stoking outrage to basically get people to vote a certain way. So the Krill are not a dictatorship. Or if they are a dictatorship, that's they elect they elect
Well, they have an election. Yeah,
they
yeah.
elect their dictators through
It
the
seems like
grace
the
through the
chancellor has
grace
a
of.
lot. It seems like the chancellor has a lot of power in their
Yeah, I mean, they could
form of
just
government. Yeah.
they can just hold rallies and have people executed right in front. Made me think. It's too bad they didn't have like a guillotine. If they had a guillotine, that would have been like in the French Revolution. That would have been. I think that would have been fitting. You know,
Yeah, off with their
I mean,
heads. Yep.
forcing. I mean, like Wrath of Khan. The main book for Kirk is the Tale of Two Cities, and the final thing that Kirk says in the movie is he's like, I've done a far better thing than I could ever be. That was the character that switched himself with the Englishman, and it was what he said. The character in the Tale of Two Cities says that as he's walking to the guillotine,
Yeah, yeah.
and like this like a man's walking to die. So I just had to bring that up because I brought up French Revolution, the guillotine. But I could have seen them do that in this episode, but hey, I guess they had a budget. It looked good though.
Oh no,
Krill
the effects were
City,
great. The city looked amazing.
I
Yeah.
loved the way New York looked at night. I was like, wait, that's not the same city because it was very bright and colorful. That's one thing I love about this show. It's very colorful compared to other science fiction. I mean, Expanse is very blue. Um, Discovery is very blue because it copies off the Expanse. Picard, I don't even want to think about because it's horrible. And Strange New Worlds is trying to be like the original series, trying to be colorful, kind of. I stopped watching it though; it was boring.
The lights on the bridge blind me though. It's like, could you
Yeah.
turn down the lights, please? That would kill the krill on that bridge, right?
Yep. So We are now in scene 3. So they enter Krill space. President Alcazan and the senator are on the bridge, and we get the cruisers intercepting and escorting them to Krill. The shuttle, so one of theirs, so they all get on the shuttle and it departs, and of course it's escorted by Krill fighters, and the delegation is basically once again Halsey, President Alcazan, the senator lady, and of course Ed and Charlie. And he's like, and they're like, you know, Admiral, you don't have to help pilot, and like one of us can do it. And Halsey looks at him and he's like, I know you guys were drunk. I know you guys were drunk. I laughed. I laughed when I heard
I'm still
that.
with it. Yeah, you didn't get that behind me, right? Yeah, he's telling him basically. Yeah, you think I can't handle it? Yeah.
So that whole, it is a good day. Yeah, it is a good day. Not quite. So, and as time goes forward, they're going to realize, it's going to be a day they'll never forget. I'll say that. And this is an episode. This is one of those. This is a game. Like I said, this is a very game-changing episode this season. More than the other 3. So this is really, the season's already taken off. So I'm pretty happy. So so they're entering the atmosphere. We see the capital city. Once again, I said it looks very Star Wars. Nar Shaddaa, Coruscant at night made me think of those 2 planets.
Even the music as they were approaching the city was very Star Wars.
Very John Williams. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They land on a pad, and they walk into City Hall. We get to see that statue of Avis, that menacing statue of Avis that we saw in the trailer. So that menacing statue, I guess, meant that there, shit was going to go down. Like this was not going to be a one and done thing. Like something bad was going to happen. We're going to get to that. And
the sets look fantastic too. I mean, everything. I don't know if that's any of that CGI or but it just they bring you into their world there, the Krill world, and it looks fantastic. So, but I always think when I see Avis, like, we try harder. I always think of the rental. I don't know if that's an Orville joke or the rental car company, but it's and then there's a line like, oh, he looks inviting or something, and one of the crew makes joke. I can't remember the exact words, but the visuals are fantastic in this. For a TV show, it's I know they're spending more money. But it just looked great world building, great attention to detail on this show.
Yeah, the effects look top notch this season, and that's something that you kept hearing Seth talk about, was that the effects are going to be on an increased level along with everything else with their move to Hulu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Blade Runner was another big influence on the design.
Yep.
I mean, when you think neo noir, you think that. So, Wansoro says Krill have pretty cities, good cider, interesting looking markets. Too bad about the homicidal hatred. Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's perfect.
I'd love some Krill. I like hard cider, so I'd like to try the Krill version. Yeah, that'd be a good weekend.
Anti-Derivative Jill has a question. I missed. Why did Tala get promoted? What did I miss? I did not. I just heard that they just said she got promoted. I don't know why she got promoted. I guess because she did really good with. I guess because I don't know. I mean, last
took
episode
out the spider creatures. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Last episode she was. That could be it. Last or maybe she was maybe she wasn't her imposter. Maybe it's because she was like, "Hey, I'm here." Wait, you came in a short while ago. Well, that wasn't me. You're promoted. That's what it was. It was last.
Yeah, and then as Ruben mentioned, I think Lamar is interested in her. Then, right? So they had that one couple of seconds, and then they had to. So I'll be interested to see where that goes, because he's like, I don't mind that you can use my. He didn't have. She doesn't have to call him sir anymore. So
they're not going to have. So they're not going to bring back the girl with the needles, the needle skin. I think this was
took too long.
That character did say that John was a ladies' man, so we'll see.
I think that whole thing, obviously that whole thing was a funny alien take on Sato S&M. I'll just say S&M for at least for Lamar, So, but it looks like they're going to be setting that up. So they said there's going to be love. There's going to be a love. There's going to be a couple of love stories this season. So we'll see who those love stories are. So. All right, so they enter the Supreme Chancellor's office. They have another toast, the krill cider. I forget exactly what they call it, but they have the krill cider. Ooh, and I'm like, uh-oh. Talia is, they're watching their version of MSNBC or CNN or Fox News, and like, she's winning. She won this state. She won that district. She's winning this district. What are they gonna do? And then they all of a sudden, the council declares her the winner. They declare Talia the winner, and right away security comes and they arrest the Supreme Chancellor for treason. the moment.
Yeah, then he's like, you haven't even been sworn in yet. You know, he was gonna, like, I was waiting for them to have a whole, like, a fight over the election and saying that, you know, it was the votes were cast the wrong way, or you know, some other, you know, plot thread, and then try to have some diplomacy, and right away, you know, the MPs, I guess, for lack of better word, the soldiers come in and say, you've been placed under arrest by the Supreme Chancellor. Boom. So the episode moves really fast too. It doesn't, you know, waste any time getting to the next. And the name, you know, you could add 15 minutes in between there talking about the election.
Yeah. In the name of the Republic, you are under arrest, Supreme Chancellor. Are you threatening me, Master Jedi? Okay, now that's the wrong franchise. But yeah, it made me think the same thing. So it was basically a coup. It was basically a coup.
Well, she was elected. She, you know, they declared her the victor, but I guess she didn't even wait any time to take the oath of office. I guess it was instantaneous, right?
Yeah, they said, they say in the episode, it's a coup. Yeah, and they take him away, and they take the Union Party gets detained. So as a result, they call the Orville, and they're like, hey, either surrender or leave. And they put a tractor beam on, and Kelly orders Lamar to initiate Directive 21. So what is Directive 21? Well, all we know is that Lamar had to initiate it, and Claire had to assist in this. And because Claire had to assist in this, she's a doctor. I couldn't help but think of Strange New Worlds, a certain episode where they had to make. First thing I thought was, they're gonna do something with the makeup. I wasn't sure why Lamar was involved. I figured this would be a Claire thing. So I wasn't quite sure why Lamar needed to be involved with Directive 21. But hey, so
yeah, I thought it was gonna be something with the ship or some new tech, you know, to like teleport maybe, or transport, or do something. And so that's a nice surprise later in the episode.
Yeah, something like that. But
that was good, you know, good. It let you think, like, what's directed, and then, like, did I miss that from another episode? What's, you know, you're trying to remember, you know, all the you know, great Orville episodes. Like, did they have Directive 21 before?
Yeah, you're like no, I never heard. So I knew they were, because they were Seth was, or not Seth, Ed was like, okay, something might go wrong in our plan. So hey, let's have this in place in case everything goes to shit. Well, apparently he was right. Everything
in case things go south real quick, we need a plan B.
Yes. So one thing I loved about the episode that kept you engaged was, well, okay, what is Directive 21? What is it? So, because we don't learn about what exactly it is until we get to the end of the episode. So, so they do like a battle really starts between the Orville and, like, I think it was 3 or 4 krill ships, and Gordon's like, hey, I'm going to do a corkscrew maneuver. What's that? I don't know. I just made it up. And they do the little corkscrew maneuver. They're getting, like, damaged like hell. They're getting damaged like hell. They have fighters, so not only do the krill ships, the battleships, go after them, but now you have the fighters going after them too, because this is going into
I was waiting for the fighter, the new fighter, to leave the docking bay. So here's my 3D printed Orville I've been working on. So yes, I don't have Bortus in there puking, but they did that corkscrew maneuver. The effects were great. So a lot of fun.
and they end up so that they flee. So the Orville manages to flee. They go to Quantum Drive, and they get out of there. So we're back to so Talea is hosting another rally because she's busy. She's a busy girl. She's a busy girl, and they bring the previous Supreme Chancellor to her, and they're like, you know what? We are committed to justice. So she takes a knife and stabs him in the gut and kills the supreme and executes the Supreme Chancellor Corin, the one that was responsible for all the relations with the Union. So now because of that, they've went to a point of no return, which means if anything further happens, it could lead to a declaration of war with the Krill.
Yeah, that was a big shock to me. I didn't expect that to happen. Like, boom, you killed
Yeah.
the. I was expecting put him on trial or
Yeah.
something, but right away, boom, you're out of here. It was really big for me. It was a shock. I mean,
It,
the species is
it
pretty
definitely
brutal.
was a surprise.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh no. I'm like, oh no, where are they going with this? I'll be honest. My predictions were wrong for this. I thought they were going to keep the alliance with the Krill. I did not see this coming. I did not see Talea turning into a particular orange figure, turning into an orange figure on Krill and doing what she did. I did not. I just did. I did not see that one coming. So that subverted my predictions for what was going to happen this season. I thought it was the Mocklins that they were gonna have problems with, not the Krill. I didn't think they'd go back to conflict with the Krill so quickly. So this is making it a very interesting. This is already making it very interesting. So um,
Yeah, it's not the easy way out, right? I mean,
no,
if you lose that alliance, then they could lose to the Kalon.
yeah. So we also find out that the Union delegation is also they're also gonna be set for execution as well, and or face justice according to what Talea says. So war, like I said, war is upon them, and with the president there, and Mercer ends up being forced to escort the guards to Talea's office, the Supreme Chancellor office, and he meets, and they're like, oh, this is not how I wanted to see you again. This is not how I wanted to see you again.
Yeah,
You're now an Uptown Girl, and she's like, huh? He's like,
Billy
Uptown
Joel.
Girl, Billy Joel.
I just got to see him a few weeks ago in concert. Yeah, he played that song. Yep.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But it's funny. I love all these old, references. I guess Ed likes, all this old music. So, but yeah, but it's just, it's fun humor. Just that offhanded stuff. It's not overdone, but it was a nice little touch, I thought, on the episode. You're an
Yeah,
uptown girl now. Yeah,
yeah, I agree.
yeah,
So they're okay. So like I said, they're scheduling the Union delegation for execution because I guess the Union delegation is a threat to their civilization. Krill first, remain Klingon. Same idea, different franchise. Or well, I don't consider the Orville a franchise. I consider an Orville a show with a vision.
yes. A lot of similarities to Star Trek Six. I felt in this episode, and I kept expecting, the Union Chancellor to get executed, or a president, I should say, or the Chancellor. He did get executed, but I expected it to be like an assassin or something. Maybe some drinks would be poisoned. I didn't see it coming
Yeah,
from Talea, having a coup, basically a coup. She did win the election and taking him out.
I would have been like if they would have executed, uh, you know, President Sheridan on the Orville, I would have rioted. I'm like, no, no, I want to see him again.
Yeah,
I honestly wish he had. I honestly wish he had more dialogue in this. But the dialogue that he delivered like he was on Babylon 5. It was awesome,
yep,
and
yep,
I can't wait. I want to see him again. Hopefully we'll see him again in another episode this season.
yep.
That's what I'm really hoping. That's what I'm really hoping. So, um, but going back, so she did not know. So Talea did not know that Ed was in the delegation. So she still cares about him. And this is where he gives his Ozymandias speech. Talks about, I am Ozymandias. I forget how it goes.
King of
Uh,
Kings.
King of Kings. See my thing and be afraid or something.
Look upon my works and despair.
Looked upon my works in despair. And of course, Ozymandias was, I looked this up, is based off of Egyptian king Pharaoh Ramses II. And that was, and if you've seen the Ten Commandments, they believe Ramses was the Pharaoh that denied Moses. You know, Moses is like, let my people go. And Pharaoh's just like, no, I'm not letting your people go. Go away. I want my slaves. I need my free labor. We got to build pyramids. We got to build palaces. So, but that's so yeah. So
and also the character, the big bad from the Watchmen too, is Ozymandias. Just the name
that's
of the
right.
character, but
yeah. He was the one that owned he was like he owned like the corporation or something.
Yeah, he's the big.
Yeah,
but he's another big bad. Yeah,
he's the assassin. Spoiler alert.
Yep.
So they take the guard. She has the guards take Ed away. They order Ed to put on a robe and they take him outside. So Talea calls the Orville and tells Kelly and the Orville to leave. They come back. They come back to so the Orville comes back demanding the release of Ed and the delegation. And I love that little conversation between Talea and Kelly because they're both connected through Ed. Obviously, I liked how Talea's like, I know all about you. I know your habits. I like how she got under Kelly's skin. And I love that. I love that exchange. So I hope we see that again. I hope we see a fight. I want to see a fight.
Yeah.
Cat fight.
Kelly, between Kelly and Talea. It's just, and then of course everyone there will be like, yeah. So, just saying. So
but it's interesting because she's actually kind of saying how much she's letting out how much she still likes Ed Mercer. Captain Mercer was just showing maybe a little bit weakness there too in terms of her position because normally she wouldn't say that she cared that much about or let out all that stuff for that personal info. So there's really a lot of good writing there. The dynamics, they're multi-leveled, layered characters that aren't just cut and dry. Totally evil on the one hand. They're she's made sympathetic by letting Ed releasing Ed in that scene that you find out out later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we go back to the Orville, and they're in a meeting with now Ted Danson. I forget his name. I call him Admiral Danson. He basically they're like, yeah, we're going to be declaring war on the Krill, and he asks about the audience is reminded about Directive 21. I was like, well, yeah, that's right. Directive 21 is still going on. It wasn't just them escaping. That wasn't Directive 21.
That's what I thought it was for a second. Yep.
Yeah, same here. Apparently, there's more to it. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be like a rescue. Obviously, it's going to be a rescue operation. So they're like, hey, we're gonna be amassing a fleet. We're gonna be sending every available ship. I was like, yeah. I want to see that Orville fleet that we see in the opening. We're gonna see it. I want to see it. I expect it to be paid off. And let's just say it does. So, So we're back to Ed on Krill, and he's walking through the city. He is escorted through the marketplace. We get to see the marketplace that they kept talking about throughout the episode. They paid that off by showing us the marketplace. And the guards and what's funny is the guards, they get to kind of an isolated spot, and the guards that escort Ed are killed by these other Krill. These other Krill take him away to like this safe house, and they're apparently they are part of the they're part of the group that still believes in peace with the Union. And we get a big reveal. We learn that there is a pale Krill little girl, and we find out that that little girl is Ed's daughter with Talea. So they did a bow chicka wawa, and she had a kid,
Pink skin. To
pink
quote,
skin,
if you quote a Star Trek,
Shran.
Shran,
Commander Shran, yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, that was a big reveal, yeah. And then someone in the chat had said they'd predicted it. I'm forgetting who it was, but
yeah, I
they
heard,
were all
yeah,
happy. I'm sorry, forgetting who posted that, but someone thought that might have happened. So yeah, it's always great when you have those predictions and they come true, or because that just opens up a whole new can of worms in
mm-hmm.
this episode. Some great twists where maybe you thought that might happen, but now this, because that happened, that's just a whole nother dimension to the episode.
Well, they definitely hinted that Ed planned a seat, even though he didn't win her over on the spot. Well, now we know what that seat ended up becoming.
Yep.
So that was very like so Ed goes and so we find out that he has a daughter with her, and there's been, I don't think Talea has had any contact with the little girl. We find out the little girl's name is Anaya, and her name means the definition of her name is basically the name of this episode, gently falling rain. That's what Anaya means. So the daughter's name means gently falling rain. And we find out that Talea still does care about, like I said, Talea still does care about Ed. She obviously wanted to have a kid. We learned this. We talked a little bit about this. She wanted to have the kid.
Well, they're very anti-abortion. It seems like they're very anti-abortion in their society.
Yeah, that's
so
very.
Maybe she. I mean, I don't know if she, what she thought, because she's so isolationist. So
Mm-hmm.
they haven't really touched upon that, but I guess you can tell that she cares about her because of that last view screenshot. And I guess she's playing some kind of Rubik's Cube type game, but that was another interesting twist on the episode.
And we find out that she's really intelligent. So takes after her parents, obviously. So so we we're back to so we find out that this group is once again they believe in union membership, but instead of them trying to remove her, so the goal is not to remove Talea from power, which is kind of what I was thinking they were going to go for. The point is to get they wanted to convince her. They wanted to try to convince her to stand with Ed and to stand with this child, Anaya, this little girl, and to bring to kind of help build bridge, to help bring everybody together, to encourage, and to not encourage division, but to encourage bonds of fellowship. Yeah, that we can coexist.
A unifying force.
A unifying force.
What they were trying to do.
Yes. So that's what this group wants Ed to try and do.
Yeah, because basically, don't they say if we get rid of Talea, there's always another Talea, basically. So they need to convince that other side that hey, this alliance is better for everyone.
Yeah, there's I mean, politics. There's always, I mean, every politician is an opportunist. So yeah, like if there's a market to be had, you can guarantee there'll be another politician that'll try to fill in those shoes. I mean, they're practically gangsters, in my opinion. So Ed goes back to Talea, comes back, and we find out what Anaya means. Like I said, gently falling rain. Unfortunately, he fails to convince her to do what they suggested. And then he's like, "Why did you even have her then?" And then, of course, we see she takes him to the simulator where they show this couple, this couple that recently had an abortion, and they force them to watch a holographic representation of the child that could have been. And it was I mean, I thought it was a very interesting science. I thought that was a very interesting idea. Like it was heart-wrenching, especially when the kid's like, "Are you my mother? Are you my father?" And
that was a hard scene to watch.
It was. and the way the couple reacted to it, and and Ed's like, you want people that you want your child to live under the to live under this, and I was just like, depending on depending on your political side, you could see that multiple ways. I don't want to quite get into it, so I mean, we're here to respect.
But it was interesting that it was
Yeah.
like it wasn't just a photo too. It was actually like a computer simulation, like you said,
like it talked to you,
like it could talk to you, and and some of
like a ghost. It was like a freaking
as
ghost.
Fuppet said, yeah, the kid actor was really good, even though just those few lines, and
Yeah.
that was and that's good sci-fi too, because you could take that either good allegory, I should say, because you could take that either way. It was showing both sides there.
Yeah. And they said this is where they showed the advantage of populism. Kid actor was great. Though they needed to give her more than one toy. Well, yeah. I mean, I can only think of so many science fiction toys. Maybe they should have given her 3D chess like Spock and I. And let's say hello, Phantom Outsider.
Hey, Phantom.
Yeah, my thought exactly. A reverse heartbeat bill. So I thought that was I thought they did that relatively well. Whether you agree or disagree with what was shown, I mean, I felt that science fiction wise, they did it really well. It still kept you within universe most of the time. I mean, there's a reason why Tolkien did not like allegory, because if you're old enough and you're aware of issues and themes, it's hard to not see past the allegory. So, but that's part of the appeal. That's why there's still fans of Star Trek. There's fans of Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, all those shows. They told stories that people were not comfortable telling, and they did it through the veil of, or the guise of science fiction.
That's how they got it past
Ideas.
the censors back then. Yeah. Doing the 60s and 50s and 60s, you couldn't tell some stories. And
I mean, that's why Roddenberry created Star Trek in the first place.
Yeah.
So. All right, so I wrote down Ed is horrified at the whole situation with the simulation, the kid, and the punishment. And I put LOL. So we're at the scene. We're now in the. I think we're in the final scene now. Leia has another rally, and the union delegation is brought out awaiting execution. I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? Is this going to be like Return of the Jedi? And I think I was right, but they weren't on thankfully they weren't on a desert planet, because they were just on a desert planet last week, and
there was no Sarlacc pit.
And thankfully Disney, I mean, even though Disney is now running the Orville technically through Hulu, at least they didn't make them use another desert planet like they do every other episode of Disney Star Wars. So I'm thankful for that. So the fleet arrives. Kelly demands a delegation be returned to them. They go to battle stations, and there's a freaking fleet battle. So we get to see the Orville. We get to see the Union fleet that we see in the beginning of every episode. They're fighting the Crow fleet. So it's just like, imagine Errand of Mercy. Imagine if you got to see the fleet battle in Errand of Mercy. That's kind of what it made me think of. Like, like oh, our fleet's coming, and then Korra's like, our fleet's ready to meet them.
Yeah, this is our home world, right? Yeah.
Glorious. And of course, then the Organians had to come in and ruin everything by making everything too hot to handle. Sorry, I kind of went back to Trek. See, every time I see an idea, I always associate with either an original series episode or a TNG episode. So, or a Voyager episode in some cases. But yeah, so there's a fleet battle. Ed appeals again to her, and she ends up choosing. It made me think of Star Trek 3 a little bit, where they're all lined up, and one of them is supposed to get executed. Like they're going to kill Saavik in Star Trek 3, but it ends up David was the one that got killed. In this case, she was like picking which one, and then she picks the president, stabs the president. Luckily, he's an alien.
Bastard! I've had enough of you. Sorry,
I have had enough of you.
You.
Ah. Yeah, he had a great death. They just kicked him into lava.
Yeah.
If that's not a death of a villain, I don't know what it is. So directive. We find out that so that they stab the president, and right after that, a couple of Krill come in. They throw some flash grenades. Everybody's blinded. The two Krill help the Union Party get away. They got into a car and they flee. And the flee looked like a it reminded me of a Star Wars chase. Just like the tight, it was like very thrilling, very tight. You could hit something really
Yep.
easily in the city.
Kind of like on a
And,
highway almost. Yeah.
and we find out what Directive 21 is. So it's basically Lamar and Claire are disguised as Krill. And they had to rescue. They had to go in, sneak in, steal a hover car or whatever those things were called, and then they had the shuttle ready. They had to steal a hover car, rescue them, and get away. So they managed to get to the freaking shuttle, and they fly off. And then once again to orbit, we get to see the battle. We get to see a nice frame of the battle from both sides, or from right in front of us, and it looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
it reminded me a little bit of DS9 during some of the battles that you would see during the Dominion War and the Klingon War.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And they so they get damaged a little bit to the point where, once again, they had to repeat the Star Trek V just kind of sliding right into the shuttle bay, because why not? Why not?
Better special effects, as Fuppets is saying. Visual scope of the episode was freaking huge. Yeah, so it was great CGI. I don't think it's any practical effects on those space battles, but God, just really well done. And I got to watch this episode again and maybe watch those scenes a little bit, a little bit more, because there's a lot going on, but it just looks so great, and you can follow what's happening too, which I liked. So that was really fun to watch.
Yes, it was, and we got to see the fighters come out. The fleet, there was the fleet bound, then there was also the fighters coming out. So you had the Krill fighters fighting the Union fighters. That was super awesome. Like I said, the chase looked very prequely like Star Wars, but it also, I think there was also a big chase in Fifth Element. There was also some Fifth Element elements of that chase too. It kind of made me think of it. So
the taxi cab chase, yep.
Massive city, looked awesome. And they end up, they rescue the delegation, and the fleet retreats. So I was like, okay. So this is going to be open-ended, because I wasn't sure, because they got away. So I was like, okay, if they got away, then are they going to do anything more? And I looked at the time left. I was like, no. Talea is now the Supreme Chancellor of Krill, and is now an enemy, and is now an enemy of the Union. Sorry, I had to do an emperor.
Yep.
So now they're facing a war. So they're back on Earth. It's daytime, and Ed's there, and Ed's talking to Kelly. He's like, "Holy crap! We're now facing a war on two fronts. We have to fight the Kaylon threat, and now we have to fight the Krill right next door."
So they don't think they can win. Yeah.
Yeah, they're it's like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the other thing that Ed's really worried about is him seeing Anaya again. Like, what is Talea gonna do? Like, he's like, I don't know Talea anymore. I don't know. I thought I could get through to her. I can't. What is she gonna do next? Is she gonna let Anaya live? And then of course so he doesn't know what's going on with that. Then we, as the audience, we learn that Anaya is actually being watched probably every day, probably daily, by her mother. So her mother does care about her, and she probably still cares about Ed, even though they're in a very big
situation.
Yes. So, and that's how this episode ends, and it's very open-endedly. So.
Yeah, and then they ask Ed if he wants to use his daughter, with Talea. They could reveal that and maybe knock her out of power. And then, like you said, Ed is worried that maybe she'll disappear, or, he doesn't know that she cares about her, but, she could be she's a big political liability. So, but that's going to be left for the next few episodes. I'm sure that something will be resolved soon. But like that, the chancellor earlier in the episode had said that together we can't lose. That's why he's joining with the planetary union. He's like, with us together, there's no margin for the margin for victory is 100%.
Yeah.
And now it's wide open with the Kalon. You wonder if I was half expecting the Kalon to attack at the end of the episode. If they had seen what was happening.
That would have been nuts if they did that.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to happen, but I'm sure the Kalon are watching the situation. They're probably going to make their move pretty soon. So, I have to read this. Anti-Derivative Jill says, every episode this season has left several plots unresolved. Hope the next episodes are all about addressing and concluding them. I agree. I want to see like the whole Isaac and Charlie thing start to progress a little bit. The whole demon spider fly people thing. Maybe I don't know if they're going to readdress that later this season. I don't think they will. Last episode with the Nagilum Q Tron lady, I forget her name. She's basically Q Nagilum.
I was calling her a
Metron.
Metron.
Or Metron, yeah, Metron.
As a joke,
too.
yeah.
Metron,
Because
yeah.
she looks
Her
like
name's
Tron,
Denali.
Denali,
I think,
yeah.
there you go, yeah. But yeah, she could. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that could happen. Would we have 6 more episodes this season then, or?
Yeah, that's a 10 episode season. So I made all my thumbnails for all the episodes. So
yeah.
This next week is going to be a Mocklin episode. The next episode is going to be called Tale of Two Topas. So
wow.
I wonder if there'll be a guillotine in that one, because we talk about Tale of Two Cities.
Tale of Two Cities, yeah. I wonder what the issue will be there, yeah. But I mean, I'm hoping as Fuppas is saying, I hope we get another season of Orville. But if they hopefully they won't leave anything too open there. But I hope everyone watches the crap out of it, like he says. And I've talked to some buddies and they're watching it on Hulu, like they leave it on Hulu playing on their devices just to get the ratings up, just have it play over a few extra times, so they know that how much we love the show and want to see another season.
Yeah, I keep tweeting Hulu. I'm like, hey Hulu, renew. I do the hashtag renew the Orville. Come on, Hulu, come on. It's already halfway through the season. Renew this show. People actually like it.
It deserves to be renewed.
Yeah,
it's worth watching each and every week.
Yes. So Phantom Outsider says, I have a feeling they'll be making contact with the Calavans. They seem the only known race more advanced than the Kalons. Yeah, I hope so. I hope that we get to see something with them. I could definitely see them. Maybe they'll get some technology. Maybe they'll learn how to beam. You never know.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
As far as the Calavan are concerned, humans are inferior, so they won't even talk to you. You have to be like, I think in the episode where we saw the Calavan, I think it was episode 2 of the entire show. It was Isaac that did all the talking. It was Isaac and Alara that did all the talking. So now the question is, I'm curious if Alara will come back at all in this season.
I'd like to see her. I'd
like to see her too. But I'm not sure. At this point, I'm not sure. At this point, I'm not sure if she's going to come back at all. So
they'd have to have some. They worked her back in the other. It made sense in the other episode in the other timeline to have her in that. But is she doing another TV show right now? I don't know if she's working or not. But
I thought it was because she broke up with Seth MacFarlane or something, and it just got awkward, and that's why she left. That's what I heard. I don't know how true. Yeah, I don't know how true.
And Charlie's Seth's current girlfriend.
Oh no. They break up and she's gonna leave too.
I hope not, but and I was at the Orville panel at New York Comic Con in 2019. It was a fantastic panel, and they're like, "We don't have anything to show you from the next season. We haven't even started yet, and it's been so long." And then someone, Scott Grimes had gotten married to Kelly, Adrian.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and marriage only lasted like 2 months or something. And someone in the crowd said, "No, I'd like to congratulate you on your marriage." And the crowd kind of groaned, and they just said, "Oh, thank you very much." But then they talked about doing the singing a Broadway episode. So Scott Grimes tried to get the whole cast to sing. So you can find it on YouTube, but it was 2019. So it was the cast is so fantastic together. It was so fun, so much fun. And
Yeah.
they're cracking. Seth wasn't there, but the rest of the cast were there. So that was pretty cool.
So I'm curious if something's going to happen to Gordon because he's going to be on another show, another TV show that they announced. I forget what the show is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Seth MacFarlane thing that he's doing with his deal with NBC. I think NBC's the current deal. Mike, I forget. Was it NBC that he had a deal with?
NBC.
Okay. So that's why that the rumor went around that people thought that Orville was canceled. And everyone like Tom Constantino was like, no, Orville's not canceled. That's not true at all. So I can't. I hope we hear something soon. I mean, we're almost halfway. We're almost halfway through the season, and I just hope we hear something about whether or not there's going to be another season after this. So, but yeah,
hopefully we'll get that news and everyone keep watching it. And
mm-hmm.
and the season's only 10 episodes too, so they could always work these things. It's not like you're doing a 27 episode seasons. I don't know what the other show, how many episodes it is, but hopefully they can work that out too. Yep.
So she says,
I mean, would it be too?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, it's all right. I was going to read this. I'll let you go first.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead.
Well, would it be too far out of the stretch to think that maybe by the 10th episode, that's when they make the announcement?
Yeah. Unlike maybe like Star Trek, like New Trek, they'll show like a trailer for Picard.
Yeah,
like
before Discovery ended.
They showed a trailer for Picard season 3 while season 2 was going on. So, hey, I don't know. We'll see. Anti-Derivative Joe says, but the Calvons are like the Romulans. They have no good reason to join the battle since they aren't being directly threatened. Okay, I didn't think of that way. I guess when I think of the Calvons, I think of the Telosians from the Cage. Because they're not allowed to make any contact. If they do, there's harsh penalties. But yeah, I guess they're like I didn't know they were isolationists like the Romulans. But yeah, they wouldn't join unless they were themselves directly affected. So yeah, I could definitely see that. And okay, the TED series. Grimes is doing a TED series with Seth, so I think there won't be a scheduling conflict. Okay, I don't know how scheduling works with entertainment. I know a lot of people work on multiple things at once, so we'll see. We'll see about that. So, all right. So yeah, that pretty much concludes discussing this episode. I mean, I liked how this was a game changer. I wish more shows did storytelling like this, took risks, and heck, even with the political stuff, aside, I felt like it's a good way to bring the issues to science fiction and still manage to maintain some semblance that it's still in the universe, it's still fictional, and without trying to be too divisive,
Too on the nose with it.
too on the nose, which is what a lot of fans have been complaining about, especially with shows, with a lot of recent shows and other stuff. But I thought I loved the fact that it was big budget. It had the great. It brought back Talea. Talea is now a antagonist. I'm going to do the Robert Meyer Burnett thing and say she's an antagonist, and I hope that this thing will get resolved. Hopefully this season. And so I'm curious if there's going to be a 3-way battle at the end of the season now between the Krill, and the Kalon. So now they need the Mocklins more than ever. Now, last time we saw the Mocklins, they were shooting Mocklins because the Mocklins were trying to take this female colony, the secret female colony, into custody, and they fought against them. And the females tried to appeal to the Union. despite the fact that the Mocklin government objected. So there's a lot of bad blood there. So next week we're going to see Clyden again. I know we're going to, because next week's the Mocklin episode, we're going to see Clyden again. We haven't seen him all season yet. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I wonder what they'll touch on. Yeah, with the Alliance, and I wonder how next week's episode will tie into this. How much will tie into this week's episode? Because that's so. We haven't seen the Kalon. We haven't seen the Kalon technically this season, right? Because first episode was a hologram or whatever simulation, I guess. So.
No, the first episode. No, they ran into a Kalon ship and they had to hide in the.
Oh, that's right. Yep, that's right. Yep.
What's funny was
I'm getting old.
What's funny is that same week they had to do this. The in Strange New Worlds they had to do the same thing with the Gorn. They had to go hide in a gas giant and pretend to be destroyed.
Yep.
They had to set off an explosion to pretend to be destroyed so that the ship would leave. And start SNW's case it was the Gorn, and in this show's case obviously is the Kalon. So. But then we had the simulation with in the last episode. So they had that pretty cool thing where like, oh no, the Union ships are actually Kalon ships, and whoa, what's going on here?
That was wild, yeah.
But that was all what was her name? Denal. That was all Denal's doing. So just to get an idea, to feel what death would be like, or the concept of ceasing to exist. That was the experiment last week. So. But yeah, I'm curious if we'll see her again this season. I'm kind of against it. I don't think we're going to see her again this season. If we do, I'll be surprised. Maybe.
Well, plus that'd be too easy of an out too. Like, oh, she's going to stop the they could just stop the Kalon, snapping their fingers basically. So then there's no conflict. Or now we're left thinking, before you thought this episode the Kalon were a threat, but not as much of a threat with the Alliance. But now this whole alliance is thrown into the end of the alliance. Now leaves everything wide open. So there's a lot of great stories they could tell. But I think at the end of the season, my guess is, Talia, they're going to have some kind of agreement where they don't, they'll have a new kind of alliance where they won't, the daughter's obviously going to play into it. That's my prediction, and she'll see the light basically in the end and say, yeah, well, maybe we don't want to have you on our world, but we'll tolerate you. And we're going to do this for the better, to save both our worlds, because then without the alliance, right. Then they're going to get invaded by the Kalon, and then it's all she wrote too. So
I'm curious now, like, because of this episode, do you think Talia's life is forfeit now? I'm thinking that she's probably going to end up sacrificing herself for a kid.
I could see that happening.
I don't think it's going to end. It's not going to end. It's not going to be a happy ending for them. I don't think. I mean, I hope it's a happy ending, but I don't think it's going to be. So
I could see that. Yep.
Yeah. Because I was curious where they were going to go with Talia, and I was like, I thought Talia would help and be like an ally. Like, I thought there might be trouble with the Krill, like they were kind of like they were hinting at in episode 2. And I thought Talia would probably be like an ally, but it was actually the complete opposite of what I was expecting it to be. So I have to give it to the season. This was subverting my expectations in a good way. So, but yeah. So, you guys have any final thoughts before we close the stream?
Watch this episode; it's worth it. I'm gonna watch it again before I do my own review, and it's got a good beat to it this season.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, definitely watch it again. And for us doing an instant review, it's always sometimes it's nice to like let it digest in, and can think about some points. And people in chat brought up some great points, so that first reaction's interesting. And then I always try to listen to other points of view and take that into account. And but I did like the episode. I thought some of the politics were, like I said, I thought a little heavy-handed, but that's part of the writing too, and it's probably meant to be that, right? I mean, otherwise the episode wouldn't hit home as much. So you had both sides of that society. One side said, "Hey, let's reach an agreement." The other side says, "Let's very isolationist, so we don't need these people." So you're seeing both sides there, and the unions trying to work with those factions. So it was it was very interesting, and the writing's top notch, the design's top notch, effects are great. So it's everyone just go to Hulu, and I wish you could have like a rewind, on YouTube you can have next episode, or just like maybe you can do that in Hulu, just put it
I'm
on
surprised they
season
don't
one
do
and let
that.
it go,
Yeah,
like
I'm
a
surprised.
rewatch it.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't do that with streaming with shows that are streaming. Like they don't like do the whole what's on next time, because I mean they still bring episodes weekly, like on TV. Like you watch a Babylon 5, TNG, or Star Trek, or anything, they'll say, "Hey, this is what's going to be on next week, so come back and tune in to watch the next episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation."
Yeah,
And
because whenever I go to Hulu, it's hidden. Like tonight, I'm like refreshing. I'm like, it's in my stuff, and
yeah,
it never shows up on that banner on the top page.
yeah,
You would think that the Hulu would promote it as like a top thing on the homepage.
yeah. I have to
Yeah,
go to
unfortunately.
search. I have to go to search every time
Yeah,
to get the Orville.
just
And then
crazy.
yeah, and luckily for me, it was like they dropped it like a couple minutes early, so I was able to watch it like 10:50 or 10:58, 10:59 instead of 11. So sorry, Mike.
Well, I was going to say, you guys were talking about how we used to get the teasers for the next episode at the
Yeah.
end of Deep Space Nine or Next Generation and Voyager. And it's unfortunate that we have to wait till Friday to go onto social media to find the next teaser.
Is it Friday? Is it always on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I've noticed so far this season.
You said on Twitter, so it was like
Yeah.
what, Seth.
Yeah.
So what,
Go to Seth
or-
MacFarlane's Twitter page, and sometime during Friday, he drops it. I've seen it drop at 9 o'clock at night. It might be dropped earlier than that, but that's when I've seen it.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind and I'll retweet. I'll keep that in mind and I'll retweet it. So, but yeah, I thought this episode was a great game changer. Of course, it had a lot of sprinkles of Star Trek. It had a lot of Star Trek 6. There was a lot of Fifth Element prequels. This was probably the most politically charged episode of the Orville to date. And I know some people might be uncomfortable with it. Remember, this is a science fiction show. It's meant to be allegorical. It's also meant to, take things that exist and dial them up to 25 and make it crazy. So imagine a populist movement that just executes right on the spot. They have the rallies and then they execute right on the spot. So it's ridiculous.
Bread
They're
and
alien.
circuses.
Bread and circuses, alien. They're aliens, exactly. So don't try. So like when you're watching this, try not to think too much about the political on the nose political stuff, because I mean everybody knows where Seth MacFarlane stands politically. So I would just say roll with the punches and don't take it too seriously. And just like if they bring up stuff, try to think of it from both sides. I know people are very, when it comes to politics, a lot of people are very, people are very set in their ways. But just be open to a few ideas at a time. They're not. You don't have to change your mind about but just be thoughtful of what the other side's talking about, and just keep that in mind, and you'll enjoy the episode. And like I said, this is a game changing episode. This is something that like the Krill alliance is dead. Now there's a 3-way war going on. I can't wait to see how it goes. 3-way wars are very interesting. I mean, Zeta Gundam back in the 80s, second Gundam show ever, did that at the very end of the show, and it made it one of the more compelling shows at the end. You're like, what's going to happen? So, and I'm seeing that in the Orville right now with this. So I can't wait to see where they go with this.
Yeah, when I played Risk, one of our gambits with Australia, you hide out in Australia, keep collecting Risk cards, and you wait till everyone wipes each other out, and then you cash in your Risk cards and you take over the world. Then so you let those you try, but now it's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, I love the way now it's not a done deal. The Kalon are a threat again to the Union. So Hey, Tim Stock.
Other than that, everybody. So you guys said all you're gonna say.
Just
Well, if I'm
yep.
going to give this episode a rating, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10.
How about you, Mark?
Yeah, give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, it's a definite A. Yep.
Okay. Me? I'll go 9. I'll go about 9.6 out of 10. You know, get a point one up on Mike because I'm petty.
Because you got to vote last.
Yeah, because I got to vote late. Exactly. Because I got to look better. I have to look better than the rest of you guys because this is my stream. This is my stream. My stream. Imagine Kirk. Imagine that evil Kirk saying, "It's my ship. My ship. It's my stream. My stream." Okay. But yeah, I thought it was a good. It was a good 9 point. I thought it was a good. It was between 9 and 9.6 or something out of 10. I don't have a way to measure it. The only thing I take away is once again some of the heavy handedness, but they tried to be as fair as they could. I think I have to rewatch the episode to verify this, but yeah. Atheist says I'll give it a 9.62 out of 10. Okay, there you go. There you go. You
He
beat
wins,
me to it. You beat me to it. So, but yeah, this was. I thought this was a great episode. I hope this. I hope the rest of the season is like this episode. Very game changing. Very, very fun. This was a very fun episode, and I can't wait to watch it again. So, so once again, everybody, take care. If you're new here, hit that beautifully red subscribe button. You know, shoot the phaser, whatever they call the guns in the Orville at it. Shoot it, and stab, or in this case, Krill stab the like button, and ring that little bell for notifications for streams or videos or whatever, so that you can be notified.
Oh, and I'll put my channel in the private chat too, if you don't mind putting that in as well.
Sure,
Yep.
it's it'll cost you.
It'll cost me how much? Yeah.
It'll cost.
Do I have to send you this Orville ship?
It'll cost you all the krill. It'll cost you all the krill cider, and yes, the Orville. I need an Orville fighter. I need to. So I'll put. Okay, I got the link down. I'll say subscribe to Marc D with a C. And yep, there we go.
Thank you. Yep. No, thank you. It was appreciate being here as a guest. It was an honor to be with you guys. Great discussion and great chat. Hi to everyone, and hopefully you'll have me back. I'd love to have you guys on my channel too sometime. So
yeah, I want to have follow-ups, like like how Orville has open-ended episodes. Well, I want to bring everyone back. Love to bring everyone back for the second half of the season. So we'll see. So Mike, you have a channel, right? Don't you do the YouTube thing too? Don't you react?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do the YouTube
play stuff.
Yeah, I play games on my channel. I recap Cub games, although there's not much to recap lately. And I also do episode reviews, movie reviews, and I do something called Pacific Forum for Pop Talk, where I talk all about pop culture. I do have a new video coming out Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's my review of episode 2 of The Old Man with Jeff Bridges, which I highly recommend the series. And I am also having a watch party over on my Discord Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern to thank everybody for getting me up to 200 subscribers.
Now we got to get
Nice.
you to what's your next milestone? 300.
Get the 300.
300. That way you can kick somebody into a well and say, "We are Sparta."
I don't know about kicking somebody into a well, but getting up there.
I'll put your let me find your channel. I'll put it in the 207 subs. Nice. Right, I'll put your name, Pacific 414, Mike's channel. I'll send you a bill later.
Yep. Checks in the mail.
Oh wow. I didn't even think about that. So
Or the Venmo. Yeah, right. Yeah. But
there you go.
Yep. So yeah, I think I'm sub to Mike. Yep. So yes. Another other thing I always say is if you sub to someone, open a new tab and watch, like 2 or 3 minutes of their channel, just so that subscription sticks. Because sometimes, with the YouTube algorithm, or subs disappear sometimes, or I notice I get unsubbed from some friends and things sometimes. So yeah, watch a few minutes, and that way the sub seems to stick better.
So, Mike, you did your reaction, right, to this episode?
Yes, I did.
So everybody, go watch Mike's reaction to this episode. I want to see Mike's reaction for myself. With
All right.
what we saw in this episode, I want to see what Mike. I want to see Mike's facial features as that's going on. And of course, Brandon, the anime guy, did his own little stream. At least I think he did. I guess he did his really shortly, but yeah, check his stream out too. So give him some love and support. I'll be expecting a bill from him too, because I don't do things for free. So other than that, everybody, thank you so much for coming by. This was a great panel. Can't wait for next week with the Mocklins. Hopefully Spock was unfortunately unable to join us. So hopefully he can come back next week. We'll talk about the Mocklins and everything. And next week's special guest will be Hollywood Scholar. So other than that, everybody, have a good one. May the wings of Nerdporials carry you to happiness and the next episode of the Orville.